This is how you come down.
All right, back again. Where are we now? We are in northern British Columbia at a friend's cabin. Fairly in the middle of nowhere. And big day. Sarah's going up. We're going over to have a shower and then head to bed early. We're going to get up early tomorrow morning, probably about 4 o'clock, I think. And then hike up to the top of the hill to go see if I can find bull number 2 and see what he's been doing since we left. We hiked into this secret little water hole I found a couple years ago and checked the camera, and sure enough, this great big bull, the other bull we're after, he decided to show up right where we had been waiting for him for a few days, and he showed up the day we left. I'll show you that. I'll share that video clip of him right now. And he showed up there every 2 to 3 days while we were gone in broad daylight, middle of the afternoon. You can see him bugling his brains out with a cow as well. And I'll show that video to you now. And then I think I'm going to sit here and relax and share, I think, what looks to be a long email somebody sent in to us and get that done. I was going to try to do it in the woods this evening today, but it just didn't work out that way. But tomorrow I'm definitely going to make a wicked video in the golden poplars on top of this mountain tomorrow, without a doubt. So anyway, watch the video of our bull today, and then I'll see if I can't get this email shared. All right, well, I hope the audio's working out and everything's working out all right. I know the lighting's a little dull, but whatever. This'll work, right? Till tomorrow, we can show you some awesome frickin' nature shots. This is titled, Update from Australia, bracket, unfortunately, end bracket. Hi, Steve. Glad you're still with us after your broken steering experience. Yeah, thanks for that. I believe you're doing vitally important work, sharing people's stories and making sure the information is spread as far as possible. Because otherwise, we are being censored and intentionally misled continuously about these subjects. Please be careful. The night I last emailed you, I had an interesting night that I will relate. First, I want to cover off a few things you talked about in your vlog posted 20/09/24. For the gentleman who wants to create how to heal. I feel I may have things I can contribute, and if you can pass my email directly to him, I'd appreciate that. I've had many different careers over a busy lifetime, but my last, before that tree crushed me, was a cognitive therapist with a degree in clinical hypnosis and qualifications as a therapist. I have deep dived in many areas of human health over the years, including my 20s, being qualified in pressure point therapy, shiatsu, which required the same standard in anatomy and physiology as a Western medical degree, and additionally, some years of traditional Chinese medicine. My take on human health is not conventional, and led me to being disillusioned enough to leave the field for over 20 years until I got back and qualified in a different field. I have a few other qualifications gained from studying overseas that I would be one of only a dozen or less with those qualifications in Australia. I'm not slinging anything, but if I can help, I will. I'm independent, not owned by any government, and my name is my own. I absolutely agree with you about any sort of request for DNA testing. Run. When the human genome was sequenced a couple of decades or more ago, the companies involved attempted to take out a patent on it, which would have meant they own everything to do with all human DNA and all products pertaining to it, whether they came to market or not. They couldn't get the patent approved, but I believe this directly led to the creation of these companies who offer insights into your genealogy in return for your DNA sample. That's pretty dark, isn't it? Red flag. Run. If you give them your DNA, then they own it legally. They can use it for anything they choose, no matter how immoral, and you have given up all rights to it, even though it is uniquely yours. No one can legally take your name away from you, but your DNA can be taken away, as long as you give it without asserting legal ownership in perpetuity. Guess what happens if you do that? They don't want it, and you won't get any genealogy information from them. It's purely a different way to get ownership of everyone's DNA. As far as COVID goes, probably one of the most immoral human experimentation ever on that scale. I have a friend working in the hospital sector who has told me that in the general population group who has had all the boosters, they are seeing up to an 800% increase in cancers of all types, and the doctors have been completely gagged about it and seem to be too afraid to break ranks. The very occasional experts who speak out, there have been a couple of epidemiologists who are rapidly silenced. In Australia, we do not have a Bill of Rights in our Constitution that protects us. It's one of the reasons that having firearms and many other things that are taken for granted in your part of the world are becoming more and more difficult to retain here. If you don't comply instantly with all requirements, your guns can be forcibly removed with minimal legal redress or ability to have them returned. Anyway, the notable exception is a protection added to the Constitution after World War II that expressly forbids human experimentation without explicit written consent from the actual person. This was a protection to make sure that human experiments that Hitler did would never happen in this country. We are told it was up to us to make the choice to have the vaccine or not, and be prepared to present your electronic vaccination certificate everywhere on demand. But if you chose not to have it, you couldn't go to work, take public transport, go to school, university, or any public place like restaurants, even outdoor sporting events. We had a curfew, where the only legal reason to be out of your home was to go to work, or the doctor, or to buy food. You couldn't even run a business if you were open to the public. I know a number of people who lost businesses, forcibly closed, and quite a few people who lost their jobs. But they called it a choice. I call it coercion, that is specifically outlawed in our Constitution. Yet not a single politician or high-profile person has ever spoken out about it. I see you have a copy of Sun Tzu's Art of War on the shelf behind you. It's interesting reading. Hopefully you won't ever need to use the information within in anger. But it's looking more like a possibility, and it's a valuable book to understand. Can I also recommend The Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, which has other insights into similar themes. I've also found Zhuan Falun by Li Hongzhi is useful. The English translation should be available if you dig a little, even though the Chinese government has gone all out to discredit the movement and ban it, jailing tens of thousands of practitioners in China. This pertains to cultivating spiritual strength, ridding oneself of internal darkness, and increasing your life force or chi, which gives you physical strength, endurance, and at least, as importantly, health. It's a bit like Tai Chi turned up to 11, but much simpler, easier to learn, not easier, and with much faster results. I know it sounds like I'm rambling aimlessly, but I believe that all these things will have an important bearing on what is coming. And all the people have a right to know the truth. The time is coming when we'll be forced to pick a side. And if you don't want to pick, you are also making a choice. They will rely on many, many people not wanting to be seen, to be opposing them. If we can get enough people to stand against them, the whole corrupt system will fall. Historians will tell you that all great empires have 10 stages they go through, from birth to death, and that the marker for each stage is visible if you know what to look for. This is held true for great empires, from the Egyptians, the Romans, the last Russian Empire, and definitely the current one, and more recently the British Empire. Once the 7th marker has been passed, the slide to eventual collapse accelerates, and the process cannot be stopped, reversed, or postponed. I've read that many historians believe that USA has passed the 8th marker already. What this means for the rest of the world, I don't know. But I do know that the world in general is tied lockstep with the USA in a way that has never been seen previously, particularly our whole financial system. So, on to the night of question. I thought hard about whether to send this to you or not, as it sounds a bit light on details, but I hope that it helps others to fill in more puzzle pieces. After I emailed you, I went to bed quite late. I have a small cottage in the foothills of the mountains, away from any towns or farms. I'm not bothered by remoteness or any of the normal things that run around here at night. And I've always slept with my bedroom window open for fresh air, although now I do not, at least for the moment. This particular night I had a lot of trouble sleeping, which is not that unusual for me, but at around 4 a.m., my senses were on high alert. I could swear that there was something right under my window. I have a large piece of hard felt board which fits into the window frame to block all light, plus a heavy curtain, so I couldn't see if anything was looking through the window at me. There was no smell and absolutely no noise. In fact, I would say a complete cessation of any outside noise. I was totally frozen, immobile, in absolute terror. I haven't experienced that sort of terror since my teenage years when I was first shadowed by unknown things. But I was quite aware, from my professional training, that my limbic system was completely activated, and rather than fight or flight, it was locked into freeze mode. Because you understand this system doesn't mean you have control over it. It is a system of response to threat that takes place in the amygdala, A-M-Y-G-D-A-L-A, amygdala, one of the oldest, most primitive part of our brain, just above the brain stem. Most often our response to threat is fight or flight, where the body readies itself for either by preferentially routing extra blood, carrying energy to the limbs. To do this, it has to take this extra blood from other areas deemed as less important to immediate survival. Digestion is one, but more importantly, the body reduces blood flow to the frontal lobes and the prefrontal cortex, as you need to react instinctively, rather than thinking about it, as that delay could be fatal. This accounts for the phenomena of people in life and death survival instances where they say afterwards, "I just couldn't think clearly." Because the limbic system reduces the blood flow to the frontal lobes and the prefrontal cortex, where you think. You aren't just feeling dumb, your IQ has actually plummeted, but your ability to act has been boosted to help you survive. In the third option, although you don't get to choose, the freeze response is triggered. This mostly happens in situations where the body recognizes that it is in a life-threatening situation, but can't actually identify the threat, or identifies the threat as so overwhelming as to be impossible to either fight or escape from, where the only survival chance lies in being overlooked, hence the complete immobility. Movement is often one of the first things a predator will sense. A total cessation of noise. Ditto predator hearing. I lay frozen for what felt like forever, but eventually had enough presence of mind to reach onto the table beside the bed, very quietly, where I knew my pair of hunting headphones were. Yes, it sounds weird, but I wasn't trying to block out noise. Those headphones are electronic, and if you crank them as hard as they'll go, you can actually hear a lot more. Needless to say, I still didn't hear anything, except a bit of electronic hiss from overboosting. Gradually it got light, and the feeling of extreme danger faded away. I slept fitfully for a few hours, and that would have been the end of it, except for what happened when I opened the front door after waking. Or rather, what I found. I only have one door to the house with a solid stone step outside, and I was sitting on it cleaning boots the afternoon previously. There had been nothing there the night before, but when I opened the door, right there in the middle of the step was a small, neat pile of little pieces of tree bark. I could easily have missed seeing it or stepped on it and destroyed it before I saw it, but I was probably still on alert. Anyway, I saw it. Then it started to run through all the possible logical things that could have caused it, left it. It was a short list. The pile was made up exclusively of small pieces of fibrous bark, no twigs, no grass, no pebbles, so not ants, and too small for a larger animal to make so neatly. It was almost exactly lined up smack in the middle of the step. And the very first thing that came into mind was that the house had been marked. Then I thought it must have been a bird, but it was so neat and so central on the step, and only one material was used. Plus, I never feed wild animals, as I don't want them to become dependent on humans for survival. Plus, in 3 years, I'd never seen anything like it. Actually, in my lifetime, but 3 years on the property. Then there was a connection from the previous night. The thing is that it was obviously too small for a Bigfoot to make that neatly. The images that had been forming in my head the previous night had been persistent and of something different. A slim, white body. Long, unnaturally thin arms and legs. Big dark eyes, naked and crouched in the dark silently underneath my window. Just writing that is still making my blood run cold and sending shivers through me. Those fine pieces of bark could have easily been neatly arranged by long, slim, skillful fingers. I remember my first email saying that I hadn't been followed yet by anything at my new property. Now I'm thinking of something is said about how once your mind thinks about any of these creatures, it attracts them. Like turning a spotlight on yourself and yelling, "Here I am, come and get me." How does that work? I don't know. But I do know that you don't need to believe in any of these things for them to enter your life. And once in, it's hard to get them out. Maybe having dogs help keep them at bay. I studied folk tales when I did a degree in literature, literally in a different millennia. And there's lots of stories about dogs keeping these things at bay, or at least out of the house. There are also many stories, especially from Eastern Europe, over the centuries, of something that would roughly fit my description. Tolkien also studied old folk tales extensively, and the many people who have watched the screen version of Gollum have seen, I believe, Tolkien's Tolkien's version of one of these things, although definitely a humanized version to make it less scary. If you comb through old stories, almost all these things your club discusses have been described in many different cultures and continents and over the centuries, sometimes millennia ago. I know you don't set much store in photos, but I took some. Immediately I found the pile before I was disturbed by anything. Unfortunately, the two zoomed in shots I took on my phone both failed to materialize in the photo folder, but I have the others. Yes, I know there are many instances of being unable to photograph certain things, be it on film or electronically. I wonder if there is something visible in the larger photos that's not obvious otherwise. Anyway, if you want to show everyone else, in case this has happened to someone else who follows the general fun on the channel, you seem to be good at zooming the screen and sticking in front of your camera. And by the way, thinking about your unseen passerby on your trail cam. Surely if it's cloaked, it doesn't need to be moving too quickly for the camera to see. Noted. Cheers, Andrew and Oz. Photo 1, my front step without pile. All right, let's try this. Photo 1. Front step without pile. And, oops, hold on a minute. Just lost my spot again, damn it. Excuse me. Photo 2. As I first saw it when I opened the door. All right, that is looking kind of small, isn't it? I'm going to zoom up on that a little more. But I'm guessing it's that little pile on the very bottom, right? I don't think the lighting's too good on this indoors here right now, but I'll zoom in on that. That's zoomed right up. And photo number 3, the pile looking towards the house. I guess it is kind of odd. I mean, if you really look at it, you try to picture what comes off your boots or shoes or comes off anything. It's a little odd out of place, isn't it? There's no other scuff marks or anything around it. A little odd, but there you go. Shared. You sound like a very intelligent man. I hope we hear back from you again, and I'm quite certain the person who's going to do the, what's it called? The facts by how to heal, I think he's going to do the channel. I'm sure he'll be able to put you guys together for sure. Just not right now, because that's going to take me time to open up my emails and go all through them. I got to dig them up. And I got to get to bed. I'm definitely on the tired side of the line right now. For sure. But there you go. Appreciate that email. Appreciate that share and speaking your mind and filling us in what's been going down in the land down under. All right? There's no denying it. Whether intentional or not, the people who are supposed to be in the position of doing the right things for the people did all the wrong things. They did a lot of things intentionally, and they intentionally ruined a lot of lives. There's no denying it. All right? I could go on that topic quite easily. Maybe another time. I'll bite my lip for now on that topic, but I'm going to get into that topic again eventually, because that topic deserves a lot of attention. And that will be the COVID topic, the vaccination topic, all the above. I'm not scared to talk about it. I'm not going to be, ever. Now, should I do another one or should I get my butt in bed? Maybe I should get my butt in bed. I'd rather do this outside. I'd rather show you guys where I'm going, where we're going to hike up to. It's never been logged. It's mature aspens, poplars, and they're going to be all perfect golden. And then there's going to be long grass underneath. I think there's some spots you could probably see up to 200 yards in that timber. And I can't wait to go there. I can't wait. And I can't wait to bring everybody there and show you this as well. And then we'll carry on from there in there tomorrow, in the woods tomorrow. And I'm going to be firing up the video camera and making a lot of shares from in there. Anyway. That sure sounds like an interesting person who just emails, doesn't it? I'd like to hear a lot more from that person, wouldn't you? Put some thoughts about this email in the comment section below, all right? And I will be back tomorrow. I think I got a whole bunch of other stuff I want to share and talk about, but you know, when you read a story at nighttime and it's bedtime, it puts you to sleep. Reading this email definitely relaxed the shit out of me. I'm ready to go. Hit the pillow. I'm gonna set the alarm for something like 3:45 in the morning or 3:30. And tomorrow's gonna be a crazy day. I know it is. Very exciting. But I'll definitely be seeing everybody here tomorrow. All the links are below in the comment section below. Be safe. Enjoy your weekend. Definitely see you tomorrow.